This is a KAKE News breaking news alert.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. We are tracking local breaking news, and you may have felt it just within the past 10 minutes. We've got an earthquake reported. Lots of reports of people feeling that earthquake right here in Wichita. It was felt here at the KAKE studios. The light did sway right above us for just a couple of seconds. But let's go right over now to Jay Prater, who has some later information. Jay.
Yeah, I was up here in the studio getting ready to record for KNSS at around 9:47, and that's when it struck. Let's go to this seismograph trace. This came from the Leonard, Oklahoma seismograph. There is the earthquake that broke out at about 9:47. Now, this is just one reporting station, so I want to emphasize that we don't have an epicenter that has been reported yet. I've been keeping up with the USGS on their website, and so far they have not gotten online to actually give an epicenter. When they do, we'll get that for you. But this was obviously probably down somewhere in Oklahoma again. Don't have the exact coordinates. Let me go back over to the USGS site while I'm here live and refresh it, see if we can get it. That's an older earthquake from earlier today that was much weaker. So I haven't reported that epicenter yet, but you can see on social media, I mean, getting lit up here with a lot of reports. Yes, near Hayesville it was felt, near Rose Hill, just east of downtown. These are people responding to my Did You Feel the Earthquake post on Twitter. So a lot of South Central Kansas feeling this, and apparently it was down in Oklahoma. And as soon as we get an epicenter for the USGS, that's the Geological Survey, we'll get that back to you as we get an estimated strength. All right, let's get a quick check of the weather. Otherwise, around KAKE land tonight, you know what? It's actually a pretty darn nice evening. The humidity's fairly low. Right now it's 78 degrees outside. Temperatures around Kansas. Currently 75 in Hays, 67 Garden City, 70 in Dodge, and 79 in Salina. Tomorrow you're going to start the day with some filtered sunshine through high clouds. 64 at 7, 66 at 7, 69 at 8 o'clock. I'm going to keep an eye on the earthquake info from the USGS. We'll have that epicenter as soon as it's released. Larry.
Got it, Jay. Thanks so much. Let's go now back to tonight's big story. Family and friends remember the three people who died in a hit-and-run crash in Wichita over the weekend. 26-year-old Zachary Taylor, 26-year-old Jake Hallisey, and 21-year-old Emily Phillips were killed when police say a driver ran a red light, hitting the car they were in. Now, it happened about 2 a.m. Sunday at the intersection of Maple and Tracy. Police say the driver did not stop, and then he drove away from the scene, but was later caught. 31-year-old Juan Gondera Rodell has now been charged with 3 counts of second-degree reckless homicide. New tonight, KAKE's Madeline Anderson was at a candlelight vigil in memory of the victims.
Holding candles and singing, family and friends of Jake Hallisey celebrated the 26-year-old's life by coming to his favorite place.
Jake was an outdoorsman. He loved being outside. He loved hanging out with people out at the pond.
Jake's cousin Arlie Sesker was devastated when she learned he and his friends had been killed by a man police say had been drinking while driving.
I just didn't believe it. I still can't believe it. I just don't understand why it had to happen to Jake. It shouldn't have been Jake. He was too good of a person, too good of a life to lose him.
She says if there's anything to learn from all of this, it's the importance of not getting behind the wheel under the influence.
I really don't think that people understand the impact that it can have on your life as well as the life of someone else. You just shouldn't do it. You should always call a designated driver, and if you don't have one, don't drink. It's not worth losing your life or taking the life of someone else.
Tonight's vigil also celebrated the life of Zach Taylor. He and Jake grew up together, and they both died in that car crash Sunday. A memorial fund has been set up in their names to support their families and help them pay for any funeral costs. If you'd like to donate, just head to KAKE.com and click on this story. Reporting in Valley Center, Madeline Anderson, KAKE News.
Thanks, Madeline. A fundraising event is also scheduled for Saturday night at Spirits Pub in Valley Center. All door fees will go towards Jake Hallisey and Zachary Taylor's families. Now, we also have an update now on that earthquake from the United States Geological Survey. It apparently was a 4.0 earthquake that rumbled through here just about 10 minutes before 10 o'clock tonight. We'll have more on this coming up just a little later in the newscast, but it was at least a 4.0. Other news now, Hutchinson man is dead following a crash on Highway 50 west of South Hutchinson. Kansas Highway Patrol says it happened shortly before 4:30 in the intersection at Dean Road. Troopers say a Chrysler Town & Country driven by a Hutchinson woman pulled off of Dean Road and onto the path of a motorcycle that was traveling westbound on Highway 50. That motorcycle collided with the side of the van. The rider, 33-year-old Michael Nelson of Hutchinson, was pronounced dead at the scene. In tonight's Crime Tracker, Salina police investigating the report of a rape in the central part of that community. Now, that crime allegedly happened the night of July 19th. Woman says she went outside after hearing her dog barking and was approached by a man who forced her back inside and then raped her. He's described as a white man in his 50s. Police are investigating. Well, 2 men arrested in what could be the largest copper theft and property damage in KAKE County. Well, they now await their first court appearance. Deputies arrested David Drum of Winfield and Omar Carrasco of Newkirk for stealing copper from this building in the Strother Field Industrial Complex. It is estimated the total loss from the theft and damage is near $1 million.
My experience, this is the largest one I've seen yet for KAKE County, where they've gone in and they've really, I believe they were working on this building over a week, just in a process of going in and cleaning it out.
He says receipts were found of the copper being sold to Wichita metal recycling companies. Also new tonight at 10, park rangers at Colorado's Rocky Mountain National Park say a body found in the park last week was that of a Kansas man. His name was Nicholas Hellsbush. He's an 18-year-old from Lenexa. Rangers say a climber found Nicholas's body along the Keyhole route. This was on Long's Peak on Friday morning. Investigators have not said how the man died. Well, the man convicted of attacking Reno County Attorney Keith Schroeder now sentenced to over 21 years in prison. These are new details tonight. A jury found Michael Sherman guilty earlier this year of attempted first-degree murder. Now, Sherman was accused of trying to strangle Schroeder in court, with one of the chains being used to restrain him. The incident happened in July of 2013. Well, the summer's extreme weather is hitting even more places in America. Now, this is video of a tornado, as you can see there. It's eating up a cornfield on a farm near Fort Lupon in Colorado, luckily sparing the farm buildings and the people. Now, in the Northeast, crews are moving through the seaside community of Revere, that's just north of Boston, cleaning up a mess there. And this is from a rare EF2 tornado. That twister carved out a 2-mile path of destruction, packing winds up to 120 miles an hour.
It was quick. It wasn't, you didn't have a chance to think. You know, it hit and power went out.
All we heard
that was it.
A big boom.
Now, no one was seriously injured. And then in Nevada, heavy rains easily flowing off mountains left bare from last year's wildfires, creating a wall of water and mud rushing into the Rainbow Canyon area. Well, today marked a deadline for state and county candidates in the upcoming elections. It was their last day to file their pre-primary election finance reports. KAKE's David Marcus here now with a look at the numbers. David.
Larry, the numbers that count in the end, of course, are the ones from voters, but the public got an interesting look inside candidate finances today. Of particular interest, the upcoming governor's race. The numbers show that Democrat Paul Davis has outraised incumbent Sam Brownback over the past 7 months by more than $370,000. But overall, the Brownback campaign has nearly double the funds of the Davis campaign. Brownback's campaign has about $2.3 million on hand. That is a state record and the most funds ever for a Kansas incumbent governor at this stage of the campaign. Paul Davis' campaign has $1.3 million on hand heading into the election, and that is more than $556,000 more than it had at the beginning of the year. Governor Brownback's campaign funds include a $500,000 contribution just 5 days ago from Kansas Lieutenant Governor Jeff Collier. A Democratic spokesperson contends that was simply to show inflated Brownback numbers by today's deadline. A Brownback spokesperson says Collier is simply committed to the campaign. You can see the full reports on the commission's website at kansas.gov/ethics.
All right, David, thank you. Now in our continued Vote 2014 coverage, the governor's race would not normally draw a great deal of attention when you're talking about an incumbent Republican governor in a very red state. But this year may be different. KAKE's Mike Ewan has more on Governor Brownback's Republican opponent in next week's primary.
Jennifer Wynn is a Wichita woman who is running against Governor Sam Brownback on the Republican primary ballot. And while a win by win would be a huge upset, the businesswoman doesn't see it that way. A sitting governor has not lost a primary in Kansas since 1956. But don't tell that to Jennifer Wynn. The company she founded, Landscapes Incorporated, does $2.5 million in annual sales. And she's using that same determination and building a campaign without big-time corporate donors.
Hard work, communication, talking and listening to what the actual taxpayers have to say.
Wynn says she's also for medical marijuana, but says more study is needed before she can support legalized recreational marijuana use.
I would bring in revenue from things such as industrial hemp that is an untapped source that would create tens of thousands of jobs right here in Kansas.
Wynn says the Brownback economic plan is not working. She says too much of the tax cuts went to the wealthy, and there's too much big money in politics.
I think they are so focused on their own agendas or the corporate agendas that back them that they have become completely disconnected from the taxpayers.
Wynn says the state needs to seriously reevaluate the war on drugs that puts people in prison for nonviolent offenses. Jennifer Wynn says if she can get dissatisfied Republicans and those on the fence to turn out and vote on primary election day, she believes she has a real shot at doing what many thought was impossible, defeating Governor Sam Brownback's re-election bid.